guys, this show is live, and you never know what's going to happen or what's going to change or what's going to go down. And literally seconds ago, I mean, like 10 seconds ago, we found out that our scheduled guest for today, Phil Collins, is postponing the interview scheduled for today until, at this point, scheduled for tomorrow. So, if you've been following along and you're a regular listener and you're keeping an eye on social media and all that good stuff we ask you to do, we didn't have a chance to even post on social media about this because we literally found out seconds ago. Phil Collins was scheduled to be in our New York City studios and is now pushing all of it into tomorrow. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, but hopefully we will have him on tomorrow's show. We'll work all that out. We'll see. We'll just see how it all rolls out. I'm not handling this one, so we're waiting for our talent department for further information, and we'll see. Now, that also works out pretty well because about an hour ago, I got a text from Neil Sean from Journey, who was scheduled and asked about coming back on the show and was scheduled for tomorrow. And Neil just told me he can't do it tomorrow. So you can see in that little microcosm there how much juggling goes on and how much kind of, you make plans, and sometimes the best plans, what's the statement? The best plans go awry or whatever. I don't know. But it's kind of, that's just a tiny peek into what goes on, as I tell you all the time. The other 22 hours of the day that I'm not on the air, that's the real work. Being here with you guys between 3 and 5 Eastern, that's the fun part. That's the part I look forward to. The other 22 hours, the juggling, the politics, the moving around, the keeping up with stuff, it's not always all bad, but you see what I'm saying. That's where it gets crazy and trying to keep everything in line. So, as of seconds ago, we do not have Phil Collins today as planned. We should have him tomorrow. We do not have Neil Sean tomorrow as planned, but we will have him at a later date. Neil has something coming that he's going to be announcing soon, and he said to me that the announcement was pushed back a bit, and he doesn't want to come back on the show until the announcement is made so he can talk about it. So that was more of a publicity thing in terms of lining up with whatever they're going to be promoting next. So that's where we're at. So where that leaves us is an open show today and a free-for-all Monday, and that's why I'm so grateful that I have you, the amazing Trunk Nation audience, because you never have a shortage of things to want to call in and talk about. So we will officially go into free-for-all mode here and welcome your phone calls at 844-686-5863 as usual. Remember, if you are listening using the SiriusXM app in the live 3 to 5 Eastern window, you can also just hit the phone icon. We'll take you right into calling into the show. And then tomorrow, we'll see what ends up happening, and we'll adjust and pivot as needed. But if it all works out, we'll have Phil Collins for you. We'll see how what happens with all of that. So yeah, that's where we're at to start the week. Happy Monday. Hope you guys had a good Monday and a good weekend. It is good to be back with you for another week of Rock Talk and covering the world of rock and seeing what else we get into. And I just had all my notes here for Phil Collins, so we will take that and shove that to the side until hopefully tomorrow. And we'll get into the news coming off the weekend before we go to you. Let's see. as far as the weekend is concerned for me, I did engage in one musical moment. Went down to Fremont Street, Old Vegas. Love it down there. It is quite a scene, quite a party. No doubt either been there or seen it on TV. The big canopy, the drinking on the streets, the partying everywhere you look. It gets crazier down there every time I go. But I love it because I love the history of Vegas, and it's so cool down there. And they have 3 stages down there that are always putting on live music. And a lot of it is rock. A lot of it is tribute acts, but they do national bands down there. And they always have a summer concert series that they do down there, and it's free. It's free down there to go see the bands. I went there to see Soul Asylum a couple years ago, Sebastian Bach a few years ago. This year, Fuel is playing down there, who I love, but unfortunately I won't be in town when they play because I have another gig. But I went down there Friday because my friends Count 77 played with Danny and Stoney, and they turned in a phenomenal show. They asked me to bring them on, which I did. It was cool to be on that stage right under the lights of Fremont. Good crowd down there, and really they turned in a blazing 90-minute plus set, and it was a lot of fun. So that was the one musical thing that I did. Outside of that, just to getting caught up on stuff and sleeping and running around and doing things. Helloween played here in Vegas on Saturday at the House of Blues, but I was unable to get to that. But I almost went to that, but I didn't get there. So that was the final night of their U.S. tour as they're getting ready to head to Japan. But I was invited. I appreciate that. Just couldn't get over there. Had some other stuff going on. So if you guys saw some shows, some things you want to chime in on, we'll take those calls here in a minute as well. As far as news, and of course today is Monday, which means it's the double dip day, as I call it. 2 back-to-back Trunk Nation shows. Our usual daily show here until just before 5 Eastern on Faction Talk. And Mondays only, right when this show ends, I go over to Channel 39, which is Hair Nation. Bring you 3 additional hours with music, talk, requests, etc. And I will do that live today as well. So 5 live hours of Trunk Nation going right until 8 o'clock Eastern time over 2 channels, as is the norm on most Mondays. All right, your news. I wanted to comment on this because I think it was yesterday, and Joel can confirm this for me. Yesterday, we've been talking about some of these incredible landmark albums hitting major anniversaries. And last week, put some focus on Van Halen's Fair Warning turning 45 as it did last week. Either yesterday or Saturday, Aerosmith Rocks turned 50. There are some incredible albums turning 50 years old. And they either have already or are about to. And yes, yesterday, Rocks turned 50. That is incredible. And Rocks is an incredible album. It's interesting when I think about it. 2 of my favorite all-time bands have albums this year turning 50. And in both cases, they are my favorite studio albums from those bands. One is Rock and Roll Over from Kiss, which I think turned 50 already. No, I'm wrong. That's coming up. Joel, check on the date when Rock and Roll Over was released. That's probably later in the year. Because Destroyer, also another classic.
Yeah, you're right. It's later in the year. It's November 11th.
So, and when is Destroyer? Destroyer's probably coming up. Destroyer, it may have happened already. Did Destroyer turn 50 already?
Yes. Yeah, we did miss it. It was March 15th.
Wow, there's no way I couldn't have mentioned it, right? Did that actually get by us? That's crazy. So the two...
We weren't on the air that day. It was a weekend. So that's probably why we missed it.
Same with the Aerosmith record, because it was yesterday, and I saw it on their social media. So yeah, that's probably why we didn't hit Destroyer on 50, because most regard the two all-time classic Kiss studio albums. Ironically, they came out in the same year, 76. Back then, Kiss was putting out 2 albums a year. So you had a Destroyer in March turning 50, and then Rock and Roll Over will be later this year turning 50. They're both amazing records. They're both very different records. Like I said, both widely regarded as the best Kiss studio albums. It's like 1 and 1A. I default to Rock and Roll Over, but we'll get to that later in the year. But back to Aerosmith. So yesterday, Rocks turned 50, and that is just so significant. For those that don't know, it was the 4th Aerosmith studio record. It was the follow-up to Toys in the Attic, which was the breakthrough album. And we did a throwdown not too long ago where we put Toys against Rocks. Joel, do you remember the results of that? It was close, wasn't it? Or did Rocks win?
I'm going to look for it now because I keep all these results handy every time we do one of these things. So I'm looking for it. Give me a second.
Yeah. But there was a throwdown, and I don't remember what we did that was...
We did Rocks versus Destroyer. I'm looking for the results now.
Yeah, if I remember, it was really close, or Rocks may have even won, because I remember talking about how only my audience would do that. Because you put the two records up against each other in terms of commercial awareness, Toys in the Attic smokes it, because Toys in the Attic had Walk This Way on it and Sweet Emotion on it, 2 mega songs. Rocks really didn't have that one huge hit single, but among hardcore Aerosmith fans, most regard Rocks as the best record in their catalog, and I do as well.
Yeah, it was Rocks that won by a decent margin. It looks like it was something like 20 to 15, around that.
Yeah, and that's another interesting parallel that's just hitting me about Kiss and Aerosmith, which are always kind of clumped in because they came out around the same time. But that's another interesting one. When you look at the two Kiss albums that came out in 76, Destroyer, Rock and Roll Over, among the hardcores, Rock and Roll Over would get the nod. Among the mainstream, it wouldn't even be close. Destroyer would get the nod because Destroyer has Beth and Detroit Rock City and Shout It Out Loud on it. Rock and Roll Over didn't have that massive hit single. That Calling Dr. Love, Hard Luck Woman, yeah, but not to the level of those songs on Destroyer. Same parallel with Aerosmith. So Rocks is like the Rock and Roll Over for Kiss, whereas Toys in the Attic is like the Destroyer for Kiss. Where when you look at Aerosmith, Toys in the Attic, airplay-wise, hit single-wise, more loaded, but most hardcore Aerosmith fans would say Rocks is the album. So it's always interesting drawing those parallels and going back in a time machine 50 years ago yesterday when Rocks came out. And it is as perfect as a hard rock record as you could ever get. And I really wish that Aerosmith were active and able to do live shows, because it would be so amazing if they went out and played that album in its entirety. They often point to that record as the record they feel is their best top to bottom. So happy 50th anniversary to Rocks yesterday. So I definitely wanted to mention that. Other news today, Triumph. We continue to follow the story of Triumph and what's going on with them on the road, having not toured forever. And they are out there playing through their native Canada right now. They continue to play a couple shows with, as we talked about last week, a guitar player stepping in for Phil X by the name of Derek Sharp. Derek, by the way, was in the band, or is in the band, Gowan, which features Lawrence Gowan, who we know is now in Styx and has been on this show several times. Gowan replaced Dennis DeYoung. But as we've talked about, Gowan is a big band in Canada. They never made it here in America, but they are a huge band in Canada. So now Triumph continuing to use this musician, Derek Sharp, in the place of Phil X, who I'm assuming his absence is due to his need to be in playing in Bon Jovi. Because if you follow Bon Jovi's social media, there is Phil as they rehearse. I'm sure there's a lot of, I don't know if pressure is the right word, but, John's probably really wanting to get this dialed in because there's going to be a lot of focus on him when they do play live shows again because of his very well-documented vocal issues. So he's giving it a go, and Phil X is a big part of the vocals in that band now as well, having replaced Richie Sambora in that role. So we'll see when Phil returns to playing in Triumph. But when the boss calls, in this case John Bon Jovi, you know and understand he is going to have to return to that fold. I'm assuming Triumph knew this could happen. So they had a backup plan here, and they continue. The other interesting thing with Triumph is we have yet to see Mike Levine, the band's bass player, appear at any of the shows. Mike has some health issues. Mike was on air with us, of course, from Canada when we did that show for the Triumph reunion record, the Triumph tribute record. But Mike still has not made an appearance yet on the Triumph tour. It would be really cool, and I don't know if this will happen, but it would be so cool if before they're done touring, we could get just, even if it's one song, just the original three up there on that stage, because that was always the classic configuration of Triumph. But so far, they continue to go out there and play and continue to do well, and we'll see how it goes, and we'll see if they add shows. That's the other big question with this, because the guys, when they've been on with us in the past, have said they really want to feel this out and see how it goes before they commit to doing more. So far, Triumph with nothing west, nothing in California or anything west at this point, in Canada and mostly east as far as their touring and the dates announced so far. Bassist and songwriter of the Sex Pistols, Glenn Matlock, has officially announced a documentary. It's called I Was a Teenage Sex Pistol. It is based on his book. Release date is May 26th. This will be one of those deals where it's available on streaming platforms and you pay a rental fee to watch it. So it'll be on like Apple TV and some of these other outlets, I'm sure Amazon as well, but it will not be included with your basic package. It'll be some sort of rental or purchase additional fee. In the press release for this, Matlock says that if you have an interest in the birth of British punk, this film is it. And it features appearances from many other rock artists, including Billy Idol and more. Sex Pistols also celebrating a 50th anniversary of their lone album, Nevermind the Bollocks, currently touring, dates coming up. Of course, they do not play with singer Johnny Rotten. Singer by the name of Frank Carter has stepped in recent years. We likely will have Glenn Matlock on to talk about this when it gets closer to release. And once I get a chance to see it, I heard from the publicist today, they're going to send me an advance on it soon, and hopefully we'll be able to cover it with Glenn on the air. Never had him on before. Looking forward to that. For better or worse, David Lee Roth is out there touring. I say worse because there's video clips making the rounds. I saw one over the weekend of Dave singing or attempting to sing Beautiful Girls. We talked about he is doing New York State of Mind, the Billy Joel tune, so you never know what Dave is going to do. And I'm not entirely sure what Dave, who is clearly having a good time, but I am not entirely sure what Dave is doing vocally these days or attempting to do vocally. I'm not a singer. I'm not a musician. I don't know what is really happening. It's kind of like I don't know, kind of like a yelping-ish vocal. I'm not sure. I think he'd do better just actually talking the words than what he's doing or attempting to do, which is very, very hard to understand, and I'm trying to be nice. Trust me, I'm being way nicer than the comments that I saw under the post, and I rarely delve into comments. I certainly don't on things posted for my own stuff, but I couldn't help but to take a look because I'm like, what are people saying about this? Because this is not a good arbiter in selling tickets going forward. And there's the post I saw, which was on Instagram, was about 250 comments, and yeah, they were not nearly as nice as I am being. I mean, it's hard to figure. I mean, look, he's in great shape. He's smiling his ass off, having fun, shaking his ass, doing his little dance. But I don't know what's happening vocally. Because again, here's the difference. Like, talking about Jon Bon Jovi's vocal issues, which he's been working at, and we'll see where he's at when he goes out again. That was clearly medical, physical. If you saw the documentary, you saw all that was going on. And that was on that last tour also, if I'm being honest, absolutely brutal. You felt for the guy. It was brutal. And he even said it in the doc. But you could tell there was something going on there. But with Dave, I don't think there's anything like that. I just think he's, doing the songs in almost like, I don't know, a vaudeville way or something. It's just, it's hard to figure. But yeah, it's all out there for you guys to see, and you guys make the call if it's something you want to see. Not sure. Hard to figure. And I've heard from people who are singers who have talked about, what he's doing or not doing and why it's like that. But again, I'm not a musician, so hard to tell. The other thing with Roth, you may have noticed, if you've seen some of these clips or you've gone to see him, is he does have a new band member on bass. And that is none other than Sean McNabb, who I know and is a friend, and you guys probably know because Sean has played with a ton of people, including at one point Quiet Riot. So if you saw some footage, yes, that indeed is Sean McNabb now playing bass in that band. We have Jason Newsted coming up as a guest on the show in the very near future. Jason is doing the rounds, as we've talked about before, to promote a new band and tour he's going out. The band is called the Chop House Band. Jason will be playing guitar and singing in this band, not playing bass. Some of the shows are opening for Blackberry Smoke. Others are headlining. Jason Newsted recently did an interview with our friend Dean Del Rey on his podcast and revealed that he had been battling throat cancer, had to have a bunch of stuff removed, and is now 100% cancer-free. So that is certainly good news. We'll get more into that as well when Jason joins us on the show, which I believe is next week. We have him scheduled. I already mentioned having gone down to Fremont, hosted my friends Count 77. Again, fantastic set. I got some photos I posted on social media if you want to check it out. Also down there, by the way, I want to give a shout out to a band called Vox that opened the show, playing some cool covers. My buddy Keith Robert War playing in that, who does work with Twisted Sister. And also a band called Dr. Rock, who came on afterwards playing covers. And they played... They played 3 sets. Freddie, their bass player, who I know, 3 sets going on at 11 o'clock, playing until 2 a.m. So, yeah, Fremont Street is rocking down there, folks. If you come to Vegas, it sucks with Vamped being gone. But if you're looking for rock, you're always going to get at least, mostly cover bands, but you're always going to get something down there on Fremont, which is good to see. And I know the guy now running Fremont, he's a big rock fan, and he's committed to keeping that going, so that's great. Also, you remember the band, you remember the singer, ZP, it's actually pronounced Tiart is how you pronounce his last name. Most people say Thiert, but he actually corrected me on this one, so I remember it. It's actually pronounced Tiart, ZP Tiart. He was the singer in Dragon Force and then joined Skid Row in 2016 and spent 6 years as the singer in Skid Row. Never making new music with them, though. However, ZP was and did record vocals for the last Skid Row studio album, The Gang's All Here. And then the band made a singer change after the record was recorded or while they were recording. It was more midstream of recording the record, the vocals for the record. And ZP was released from the band or dismissed from the band. And then, of course, the story goes, they brought in Eric Gronwall, whose first interview as a member of the band happened on this show, and first show as the singer in the band happened here in Vegas, opening for Scorpions. It was a crazy story where they decided to let ZP go, bring in Gronwall. Gronwall recorded the vocals from Sweden, where he lives. They lay those vocals into the record. That's the version of the record that comes out. And then ZP flies to America, meets the band in person, and starts touring with them. And then, of course, flash forward a year or two later, and Eric Gronwall leaves Skid Row, citing medical concerns because he battles cancer. Although since leaving, Gronwall has been quite active, singing with a lot of different artists and making music. Although not doing anything in America, that was kind of his concern. Because he's based in Europe and he didn't want to be too far out and away from his doctors, given that he has a form of leukemia that has to be managed. Anyway, I bring all this up because ever since ZP, who I met a few times when he was in Skid Row, but certainly wouldn't say I knew him all that well. But ever since he was dismissed from the band, about 4 years ago, he has been completely quiet. to my knowledge, I've never even seen an interview or heard an interview with him talking about his experience in Skid Row. And maybe that's going to change because ZP announced a new single and put out a new single today called Electric Beings from a new solo album simply under his name. So, remember, this guy was in Skid Row for 6 years. You no doubt, if you saw Skid Row between that period of time, you no doubt saw him singing in the band. He's got long, dark, curly hair. But just went off the grid once he was let go from the band and is now surfacing again, at least on recordings with this new tune being released. So the Eagles recently, I think I told you guys, I saw the Eagles at the Sphere about a month ago. Gave you my report about that at that time. And the Eagles at that time were wrapping up their Sphere residency and said they were done at the Sphere after doing an incredible amount of shows, playing weekends only, Fridays and Saturdays, which started back in 2024. The Eagles did their first show not in the Sphere, at Jazz Fest in New Orleans over the weekend. However, they cut their set about 20 minutes short when their piano player was not feeling well and had a medical concern. So things were cut short a bit. However, they still did 19 songs, so it wasn't like a super abbreviated set. The band released in a statement saying that the songs that were cut were very piano-heavy songs that they needed that piano player. I don't know his name. They didn't see his name listed. That they needed the piano player to do songs like Desperado and others. But again, still getting 19 songs done at Jazz Fest in New Orleans. Don Henley joking it was a bit odd to be playing not in the Sphere and seeing daylight and sunlight. But they'll be back in the Sphere because they announced more Sphere shows today. The additional 6 shows announced are September 18th and 19th, November 13, 14, 27, and 28. And I think that crosses over. I think that's in a window where Metallica is not there, right? Joel, when does Metallica start in there?
Looks like their first date is October 1st, and then they've got only a couple of dates in November, and then again end of January.
See, is Metallica doing any shows in December?
No, it looks like nothing in December. It looks like October is that first initial run where it looks like they're there pretty much every weekend. Then there's one weekend in November, the beginning of November. So it looks like they're doing a long stretch there to get started. And then they pick up again at the end of January into February.
So Metallica has said that the dates that they have announced, which are all sold out for the Sphere, are all the dates they are doing there for now. So you can see there's a window there. There's a hole. And it looks like the Eagles are going to fill that hole with 4 shows in November over 2 weekends and a weekend in September. And I would not be surprised, given what Joel just said, and there being open time, that they do not add even more. Because like I've talked about with this venue, once you build your graphics and your images and your program for the walls of the building, and once you have your sound dialed in, and I'm sure Don't know for a fact, but I'm sure it's all probably stored on some big computer. They just basically take one hard drive out, plug the other one in. The show's on there already, and the band just starts playing and they sync it all up. So that's why you can see Fish come in and out of there. And now you might see that happen with the Eagles. And you could easily see that happen with Metallica into next year because, again, everything is dialed up, everything is set up. By the way, speaking of Metallica at the Sphere, I ran into the band's, just ironically, don't know the man at all, but I ran into the lighting director for Metallica over the weekend at my local Costco. He lives here in Vegas, and he knew me. Nice guy. His name is Rob. But I don't know him at all. He recognized me and said hello and introduced himself. So we had a little chat in Costco, and I said, "Oh, you live here in Vegas?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, you must love that the band is playing the Sphere because you can go home every night and get in your own bed." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, it's going to be great for me. I can't wait, whatever." So I said to him, I said, "Have you been in there yet? Have you figured some stuff out?" Because with a lighting director, it's got to be an interesting challenge at the Sphere because your lighting is completely different than it would be for a normal gig because your lighting is coming from the building itself. And he said, yes, they have done some preliminary stuff in there and trying to kind of figure out what they're going to do and how they're going to approach it. But he said, trust me, we're going to blow it up. And I said, in Metallica fashion, I would expect nothing less. And he just kind of laughed. So it was nice to meet him. And their preparations are already going on, getting figured out, because it's a completely different beast as far as a gig. You're dealing with completely different sound. You're dealing with completely different visuals and completely different lighting. Some bands, when I saw U2, I don't even know if they had lighting on the stage. There might have been a spotlight. There might have been a couple small overhead lights. But again, the whole visual is what's going on the walls around you. So the Eagles are dialed in there. And now the Eagles, by the way, with these additional 6 shows, are now the leader in live entertainment in terms of the act that has done the most shows in that building. Because these shows will put them at 64 shows. And consider that they only play weekends. That's amazing. No Doubt is going in there with a pretty big run. Fish keeps going in and out of there. Metallica about to start. They could keep going in and out of there. So you're starting to see how this business model is going to work with this venue. There was a country act in there. I forget who. But the Eagles are kings as of now in terms of show count with 64. A singer by the name of Alex Ligertwood, I hope I'm saying that right, passed away at the age of 79 years old over the weekend. Best known for being a on-again, off-again vocalist in Santana between the years 79 through 94. He also did some work with Jeff Beck. And last but certainly not least, we have been talking about the Rolling Stones, who are clearly teasing a new album. And they've been doing it by putting up images and things like that in, these graphics and things in England on billboards and street corners and what have you. And now the 3 key members of the Stones, Mick, Keith, and Ron Wood, of course, on their social media posted puzzle pieces that, when put together from their individual social media, creates what looks like an album cover for a new Rolling Stones record, and also apparently reveals the title of the record being Foreign Tongues. So, no doubt a new Rolling Stones record is coming. The last one, Hackney Diamonds, was really good. It's always challenging, though, when you have a band like the Stones, who, I don't know, they have like 50 studio records. And then if they tour, when you have a catalog like that, I created a little bit of a stir a few weeks ago when I said, I never understand why bands with deep, extensive catalogs do covers live. Well, there's another challenge. It's great when you get new music, certainly if it's good, from a band that's been around over 60 years. But it's challenging as to what you do with it. Because, if you go see the Stones, let's be honest, you want to hear the old stuff and you want to hear the catalog. And where do you find a place for new songs? They do. They usually have to. They might only play one. So they just keep adding to their catalog. Now, we don't know yet if they're going to tour. That's the big question. But it's just about certain now that we know a new album is coming. And one other thing on this, and I was talking to some friends about this over the weekend, that's been an interesting thing going on. I've seen more than one band do this. It's become it's become somewhat common, and it's very unusual. You never, ever used to see this before. But I'm starting to see more and more bands who play their own music over the PA during their concerts. Before a concert starts or when a concert ends, obviously they play some music in the audience, right? And it's usually other people's music. But I can give you like 3 or 4 examples of going to shows recently and hearing the artist's own music played before the band comes out and plays. First time I heard it was with Motley Crue when they did their residency here in Vegas. Cheap Trick, who I just saw last weekend, did it as well. And Cheap Trick played their new album over the PA. And after the show, I pointed it out to the guys. And I said, that's kind of interesting. Like, you're playing your new album to the audience on the PA instead of playing it live. And they said, yeah, we just another way to let people know we have a new record out. And to get them to hear the songs. Because we know, sadly, for years now, classic rock radio does not play new music from classic bands. So these guys are very limited in how they can expose new music that they make. The ones that still do make new music. Obviously, the internet is a huge platform for it, but beyond that, it's very, very difficult. So the idea, at least from Cheap Trick, was, and by the way, they did 1 or 2 songs from the album live in their set. But again, same deal. Cheap Trick's got an incredibly deep catalog that goes back to the mid-'70s. They can't showcase 5 songs from the record, so they played it over the PA. And I wouldn't be, surprised if the Stones and some of these other bands adopt that as well. Because you want people to hear it, you want people to know it exists, but at the same time, it's really hard to take up space from all the big hits to play too much of it live. So this might be a trend we see happening more and more, and it's odd at first because you don't expect to hear the music of a band that you're going to see. You expect them to be playing Zeppelin or whatever, But to hear that band's music and then that band comes out and actually plays, it's been a thing. I'm seeing more and more bands doing it. I like 3 or 4 bands I've now seen do it. So how that started and where that started, but is interesting, but I do understand the logic behind it given how challenging it is to get new music exposed. And, that's why you hear a lot of bands say they don't even bother making new music because of those challenges. Joel just corrected me on ZP. The single came out on April 10th. Today, a video was released for the song. And next week for Jason Newsted, we have him on Tuesday on this show. And again, in case you did not hear the news and you just joined us a little late, Phil Collins was scheduled to be on this show today. He is now postponed until tomorrow. We are going, hopefully that works out tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure if we'll air the interview tomorrow because now it might have to be pre-recorded, but we'll probably air it tomorrow, so that's a little bit up in the air. But Phil Collins with a last-minute schedule change. And also, as announced earlier, Neil Sean, who is scheduled to be on with us tomorrow, has now been postponed and will join us in the next week or two. He told me there is some Journey news that he's waiting on, and until he can talk about it, he wants to hold on the interview. So, again, we're always adjusting and adapting as we go. Joel, anything you want to jump in on?
You got all the headlines I had today and over the weekend. I just want to add a birthday. We're going to say happy 75th birthday to Mick Mars today.
Mick's birthday is today?
Yes, that's what the internet is telling me.
All right, good. I'm going to text him during the commercial break. So that's awesome. Big happy 75th birthday to original Motley Crue guitarist Mick Mars. I hope he's doing well. His well-documented health battles. I don't know if Mick's going to do another solo record. We did a lot of coverage on that last one, but I've not heard anything about that. Although when Mick was on doing interviews with us around the time of that record, I do remember him saying he was already getting to work on another record. But I'm not sure what the status is on that and if he is still doing that. So big happy 75th to Mick Mars today. All right. So as I mentioned, our guest postponed. So the rest of the way, it's you guys.
We're looking for hard-hitting coverage of stories the other guys won't touch. Tune into Sam Roberts Show.
220s put in somebody's hand, you can get anything in the world done.
Sam and his team are pounding the pavement, cutting through the noise, and tracking down the scoops that the competition can't get.
And then you get in this room and people are like, I don't even know what frame mugging is. And you go, the wool has been pulled over your eyes.
Sam Roberts Show, where the spin stops and reporting begins.
Anybody who's taking a bath to wash themselves is kidding themselves.
Weekdays 8 to 11 a.m. Eastern on Channel 103.
Dr. Radio on SiriusXM is here for you when life is hard, when you're dealing with a challenge that seems overwhelming, for when you need support and hope. Bringing NYU Langone Health's leading psychologists and psychiatrists to you, Dr. Radio can help you navigate difficulties like anxiety, depression, substance abuse, and more.
We're facing a crisis right now. We want to be here to help you.
Mental health support and expert guidance are available on Dr. Radio Channel 110 and anytime on the SiriusXM app. Just search Health and Wellness.
Looking for a little extra fun? Chumba Casino lets you play for free with daily login rewards and a cheeky little welcome bonus when you sign up. Explore hundreds of online social casino games and jump in whenever it works for you. No routines, no pressure, just entertainment on your terms. That's Chumba. Only available in permitted states. No purchase necessary. See terms and conditions for details. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21+.
You know the rush when you reach that goal, when something you've worked for pays off. That's success. At University of Maryland Global Campus, we believe you should never stop chasing it. That's why we offer a skills-based education that helps move your career forward. Learn how to apply emerging technologies like AI and data science. Build your leadership and critical thinking skills. Apply now and save with no application fee. Classes start May 13th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment.
Visit mintmobile.com/radio. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
When I was a kid, my grandpop used to say to my grandma, "I love you to the moon and back." Then he used to say it to my mom, "I love you to the moon and back." It always symbolized his deep love for the mother of his children and the mother of his grandchildren. So this Mother's Day, I've created a beautiful to the moon and back sterling silver diamond necklace. I wish you could see it right now. Wait, you can. Go to IHateStevensinger.com and see the silhouette of a crescent moon filled with sparkling diamonds, hugging a silver heart. It's engraved with "I love you to the moon and back" right on the other side. A thought she'll hold next to her heart every day. Tell the mothers in your life that you love them to the moon and back, just like my grandfather did.
It's only $148, shipped for free in my signature black gift box. Visit us at the other corner of 8th and Walnut in Philly, or at the Village of Newtown in Bucks County.
Or online at IHateStevensinger.com. Steven Singer Jewelers.
That's IHateStevensinger.com.
Hi, it's Terry Williams, president and owner of One United Bank. Ever wanted more clarity about your money so you can go from spender to super saver? Upgrade with Wise One AI Money Management built with Google Gemini. It's like having a personal financial coach in your pocket. Wise One speaks human, not bank. Ask questions and get the truth. Best of all, we offer Wise One as a standalone subscription service, so you don't have to switch banks to get it. Go to oneunited.com today.
Satan himself throws up the devil horns to ward off any trunk.
God, that makes me nuts.
This is Trunk Nation. Proceed at your own risk. Sirius XM Faction Talk.
All right, here we go. Starting the week with a little free-for-all action. As I mentioned, Phil Collins has been pushed likely into tomorrow's show. So, bit of a schedule change here, but that gives you guys plenty of time to chime in and hit me with anything or tell me about anything you may have seen or want to get into in rock music. 844-686-5863, as usual, is our number here on Trunk Nation. And our first caller of the day and of the week is in Massachusetts. Shane joins us. What's going on, Shane?
Eddie, thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to get your thoughts on this. I had something pop up on YouTube a couple of weeks ago that appeared to be a Van Halen demo, maybe something from the Eminent Children First era. I'm a big fan. I think I've heard everything. And as it turns out, this wasn't a demo. And if it wasn't next level, I wouldn't be calling you. But it was basically new Van Halen songs done via AI that sound exactly like vintage Van Halen. And when I tell you that David Lee Roth vocals are amazing and spot on, I mean, it's spot on. Musically, the guitar, if you listen closely, it might sound a little bit over the top. But the future of this and where it can go and what this particular guy is posting, it's not like anything I've ever seen in the past. And he's starting to post AC/DC and Kiss to some degree in the last week. But very interesting to see where this goes and where it's always been about the music for me. And the current state of David Lee Roth and Paul Stanley and some of these others. I'm excited about it. It's all about the music, but this is unbelievable where this could be going.
So Shane, let me get this straight, what you're saying. So you're saying these are AI created Van Halen songs. So they're not actually Van Halen songs, but they're songs that somebody used an AI program and said, make new music that would sound like classic Van Halen. Is that what you're saying?
That would be correct. And this isn't something like in the style of Van Halen or some of these other things that have been floating around for years. These are songs that were so on point that I was like, how did I miss this? I have all these unreleased Van Halen songs. But yeah, it would sound like it was a brand new song from Van Halen 2, Women and Children First, but completely computer generated. And
now,
again,
when you saw this and you heard it, was it branded and marked as AI generated?
Yeah, it was. If you look in the descriptions, it's synthetically created, and there's full disclosure on it. But the level in which it's done, I think, is going to be a game changer. I've never heard something done on this level. This guy has a channel called Lem's Corner, like as in Lemmy, and like one song called Pass the Whiskey. Although it's a little hokey in some ways vocally in terms of lyric content, the sound is unbelievable. It sounds just like something that would have come off of one of these first four Van Halen albums. He's...
Yeah, I mean, we're in uncharted waters here with some of this stuff, Shane, and I've not heard it, but it doesn't surprise me what you're saying, and thank you, Shane, for the call. I mean, look, that would be a question to throw to you guys, and you can certainly chime in on that, is how you feel about where we're going with this AI stuff. And like Shane is interested in what you just heard him talk about, which is basically quote unquote new Van Halen, which obviously is not really new Van Halen. It's a computer and an AI program creating what they feel new Van Halen would sound like. Now, again, I've not heard what Shane is talking about, but I don't know. For me, it doesn't interest me because I know it's not the band. Like, I understand how it would be. I understand how it would be intriguing, right, to hear it. And you might listen to it one time for the novelty of it. But could I ever add it into my fold of Van Halen albums and listen to it like it's actually the band? No. It would be a one-time novelty listen for me. Would I ever put it on my headphones, listen to it on a plane, crank it up in a car? No. Because it's not the band. It's not real. But it's just another layer to what's coming down the pike and what is already here in a lot of ways with all this AI stuff. And I got to tell you, I have not, and I'm probably really going to regret this, but I have not gone down the AI rabbit hole personally yet. More and more of my friends, more and more people I talk to are using it for certain things. And they all say it's great in the way they're using it. Not so much creatively making songs, although I do know people that are doing that. I do know people that are using it to help them write and things like that. But to me, that's where the line is drawn. Like, that's where, as a fan, I don't want that. You know what? I don't even like, and I'm seeing more and more of it pop up in my social media feeds, these fabricated AI photos like, oh, there's a AI image of Eddie Van Halen and Ronnie James Dio and Ace Frehley and John Bonham and John Entwistle playing in a band. I don't know. It just feels weird to me. I understand it's coming from a right place and it's coming from a place of being a fan and a place of wishing that could happen, but it just doesn't. I don't like it. It feels weird to me. I just doesn't interest me. And I've not used any of them. Like, I've not put ChatGPT on or whatever ones there. I've not done it. Now, my phone, I believe, already has it when I do a Google search. But it's kind of like already built into the phone. I've got an iPhone 16. Seems like it's already doing some stuff there in terms of search stuff online. But that's the extent of it. I've not used it to create anything or anything like that. Joel, have you gotten into it? Do you have programs on your phone? Are you doing stuff with it? Are you using it for anything?
Yeah, I am, but it's also, it's one of those things that I'm using as a smart tool. I'm not having it do things for me. Like, I use it to help me kind of like schedule things and manage, I have bad ADHD, so my brain is all over the place. So I use it to kind of help me like catalog the things I'm doing or have done during the day, and get my schedule in order and like send me reminders. But I'm not having it create anything for me, or edit any of the audio that I work with, or create audio. Nothing along those lines. Nothing creatively. Very specific tasks. But it is very useful for those tasks.
But being totally ignorant to it at this point. And again, I'm going to regret this because it's moving so fast and I'll be left in the dust just like I've been for most computer internet stuff to this day. But how is that different than okay, so you're talking about your calendar. Okay, so for me, when I'm trying to keep a calendar, I just enter whatever it is or where I'm going in my phone calendar.
Yeah, and what it does is it just kind of centralizes everything. So I'm not, creating a list of, my groceries in one app and putting my calendar in another app and, checking, I've got dogs to take care of and, monitoring all their stuff. So what I can do is I can just, I have it set up so I have a text bot and I just text it, be like, all right, the dogs, I need to get them food, send me a reminder, put this on my schedule, remind me I have to do this. I've got this coming up. Send me a nudge, or even simple things like just making sure I'm one of those people who forgets to drink enough water during the day. It sends me 3 reminders a day to stop and drink some water.
But and I don't want to keep going on about this, but
yeah, we could go down the rabbit hole.
I know
here.
because but my thing is, how does AI do that better than, in other words, if I put something in my calendar on my iPhone, it gives me 2 drop downs, remind me 15 minutes before, a day before, 10 hours before.
Yeah,
so
it's the same.
What is the difference though using AI to do that?
It's not different. It's just a more advanced logging system. Instead of, having the drop downs, I just text it, send me this reminder, do this, do that. All it is just taking away a couple of clicks. It's not really doing all that much. It's basically just so I don't have to open 3 different apps for 3 different tasks. That's all it is. It's just real simple stuff. And I was even going through it earlier because I'm doing one of those things where I'm kind of working on designing my own to function for me and to help me out with my daily tasks. And it's really just a logger is what it is. It's just doing those specific tasks, and it's not that much different, but it can provide you with interesting search insights if you wanted to, kind of gather sources of information. You could, maybe prompt it with something like, what percentage of music on Spotify is AI generated versus, and it'll find the information for you, something that might not be easily searched for you otherwise in Google. And when you're using Google and it does that AI summary, that's automatic now, across all of Google. And anytime you search anything, it's here's your AI summary where it kind of aggregates the top search results.
Which one do you use? Did you load one on your phone or something, or a computer?
Yeah, I'm using Claude now. I'm liking that one. I was liking that one, but I'm actually liking Google's Gemini now. That one seems a little bit smarter. And it's one of these things where it's like the little tailored things. But again, it's nothing that, changes my life drastically if I didn't have it, I'd still function just fine. It just makes things run a little smoother and centralizes everything into one location.
Yeah, I mean, again, I know I sound like a 90-year-old man at this point, but there's a lot of people out there that are still kind of a little in the dark, but it's being pushed on them no matter what. Look, I am not against advancements. I think you got to be careful with some stuff and whatever. We know that with everything, it's a two-edged sword. There's going to be a lot of positives, a lot of negatives. We're already seeing a lot of negatives. We're already seeing a lot of fake stuff. I mean, it's just impossible to keep up with what's real and what's not now in terms of videos, photos. I've talked about that a million times. It's very challenging. But for the upside of this stuff, I mean, the thing I'm most excited about for it is advancements in medical and health, because I've seen some doctors and stuff online saying, hey, if you can hang in there another 5 years without any major medical thing, AI is going to eradicate a lot of things that's killing people with the advancements at the
so
speed that's
smart.
moving.
And that's really what it is it's just kind of thinking smarter than, the scientists who are doing it themselves. It's kind of just, computer modeling all this stuff out really fast. So what it can do is absolutely bananas. What I use it for is, a calendar system.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, but going back to music, I mean, yeah, I don't want it in music. Absolutely. I mean, because it's not. But then again, think about this on the music discussion. We have multiple bands out there that are touring and in some cases making new music under whatever band name it is that have no original members in the band. So if you think about it, I mean, but it's still different because a human wrote and created it in the spirit of the band they are representing. But if a computer is doing that, like last week we had Damon Johnson and Johnny Van Zant from Leonard Skinner on the show. Technically, Skinner has no original members. They're going out on tour with Foreigner this summer on what I think, if I'm correct, is the first amphitheater tour where neither band has any original members. Now, in the case of Skinner, it's at least Ronnie Van Zant's brother singing, so there's that connection, right? But like if either of those bands made a new song, and in the case of Foreigner, they have, you still have Mick Jones kind of behind the scenes. So there's that. If Skinner does, you still got, Ronnie's brother singing involved. So there's that. But if a computer does it, there's just no lineage whatsoever. It's really, when you think about it, I mean, where we go with all of this with music is wild. And look, how many music videos do you see now that are totally AI generated? You can see it immediately. I'm not a fan of it. Here's the other one that I'm seeing a lot of. If you go see a band and there's a video screen behind them, a lot of times bands would spend all kinds of money to make cool visuals to put up on the screen behind them, where they went somewhere and shot footage or whatever they did. Now it's all AI. It's totally obvious. Every band now has a screen behind them with all of these crazy visuals going on that are clearly AI because it's cheap and easy to do, but it looks AI. It doesn't feel the same to me. That could change, I don't know, but it doesn't feel the same to me. It just feels like, even when I see these videos, I've been talking about it for about a year now. If you have this channel called MTV Live, which is basically all pop music videos, for 2 hours they do show metal videos. Every other one of them is you could just tell is an AI program. You can just tell that the artist just loaded their song in and said, yeah, create a video for this, and then sent it in, and they're showing them. So to me, there's really not a lot of creativity there coming from the actual artist. But then again, maybe you could say there is because that artist shaped it. I don't know. I'm just having open dialogue with you guys. I don't have the answer. I'm just telling you how I feel about it now. That could change. But I still want to feel like what I'm listening to and seeing was something organically created by the artist that I'm a fan of. But it's everywhere already. And of course, you hear all the doomsday stuff too. It's going to kill us all and whatever. Who knows? But if it kills us all, maybe it'll put us back together. I don't know. How do we even get started about this? Oh, the guy called in about AI Van Halen songs. Yeah, I can't. I don't want to. I don't want to hear any of that. Again, a novelty, one time, fine, but it's not like I'm putting in an AI created song that sounds like it would have been on Women and Children. No, I'm going to put in Women and Children, and I'm going to listen to Fools and crank it and know that's the actual thing. Just like I listened to Fair Warning over the weekend because to celebrate its 45th anniversary. Like I hadn't heard it 10 billion times, but I still put it on and listened to it again. But yeah, we could talk about this forever, and we probably will because it's, of course, everybody remembers the Jason Hook moment on this show when he made theme songs for this show in no time using AI, and it blew my mind out. You still have those songs, Joel?
Yeah, I've got them. They're somewhere. I got to pull them up. But yes, I have them somewhere.
Man, for those that remembered that day, I was completely flummoxed. Crazy. All right. Like I said, you never know when we go to the phones what the hell it's going to trigger and it's going to spawn, which is why I love talking to you guys all the time when we can.
So love the songs. They are attached to special memories in people's lives.
Don Henley, Joe Walsh, and the Eagles return with the Hotel California channel.
Welcome to the Hotel California.
I've got 50 years of stories I can't tell. Maybe I can now.
Check into the Hotel California Thursday on Channel 105 and the SiriusXM app for a limited time.
My dad passed away unexpectedly at a stroke at 63. Of course, it was awful in every way, but we are very grateful that he had life insurance. So even after he was gone, he was still able to provide for us. And now I have a wife and 4 little kids. And that's why I have life insurance for my family. Ethos is the best place to go. They make it fast and easy to get covered. It's 100% online. There's no complicated process at all. There's no medical exam. Just a couple of health questions. You get a quote in seconds, and you can apply in minutes. You get covered the same day. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. And some policies are as low as $30 a month. And in 10 minutes, your family can be covered with life insurance. When it happens, your family's going to be very grateful you went to ethos.com.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/quote. That's ETHOS.com/quote. Ethos.com/quote. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required. Rates may vary. Sample rate 10-year life-term policy for 40-year-old healthy non-smoking male.
When did watching TV go from a way to relax to a complicated chore? Well, if you're sick of huge cable bills or endlessly searching for the show everyone's talking about, then welcome to Philo. Philo's the streaming service that respects both your time and your wallet, without needing to cut the stuff you actually love to watch. This means live TV from more than 70 channels like Hallmark, History, A&E, and Lifetime, plus a huge library of blockbuster movies and classic shows, and an easy-to-use unlimited DVR that lets you save anything you want and skip all the ads when you watch. The best part? You get all this for just $25 a month when you sign up at Philo.tv. No hidden fees, no long contracts, just a genuinely great deal. And new users can try it completely free for 7 days. So head to Philo.tv, that's PHILO.tv, and experience a better way to TV. Subscriptions auto-renew at monthly rate plus applicable taxes. Cancel anytime. See terms at Philo.tv.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/comedy. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/comedy. That's ZipRecruiter.com/comedy. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
This is Trunk Nation, where rock fans go to talk all things rock.
Get exposed to something that they normally don't listen to.
With host Eddie Trunk.
Bring your own beer. Gotta love that.
SiriusXM Faction Talk.
All right, we're back on a Monday, hanging with you, kicking off another week of Rock Talk here on Trunk Nation. Live tomorrow as well. Live right after this show as well for 3 extra hours over on Hair Nation with music, talk, and requests. Best of shows Wednesday, Thursday this week. Should be back live on Friday. So little bit of a 2-day days off, but as of now, live on Friday after Best ofs Wednesday and Thursday. Also, quick documentary alert. I don't think that I may have mentioned this last week. I don't remember, but there is a documentary on HBO called The Dark Wizard. I know I mentioned it on social media. I can't remember if I said it on the air or not. But it is insane. And I do not like heights. But I am fascinated by people who do insane things at great heights. And nothing more so than these people who climb mountains with no rope and no safety, or walk on tight ropes with no safety. And there is a documentary. It is 4 parts on HBO and HBO Max called The Dark Wizard. 3 parts have aired already. The final one is tomorrow. And it's on this guy that does this climbing called free soloing, where you climb mountains with no safety, no rope, no nothing. It is crazy. This guy that this is about, his name is Dean Potter. Now, I do not know what happened to him. I do not want to know what happened to him. I fear what happened to him is not a good ending, given that all the interviews in the documentary are kind of archival. But all will be revealed tomorrow. You guys that follow it, you no doubt know, but I don't follow it, so I am in the dark. But it'll all be revealed tomorrow with the final episode. But it is so crazy what this guy does, because this goes back like 15 years ago. He'd go around the world and climb these mountains with nothing. And then there was this other guy who's in the documentary, who I know for a fact is still alive, named Alex Honnold. He was the guy that climbed the skyscraper in Malaysia recently, like 100 stories with no rope and no equipment. And I was just told he lives here in Vegas. And he, when he did the skyscraper recently, which was on Netflix, he got to the top. He said something like, "I want to thank Tool for the soundtrack." So he might be a rock guy. I'd love to interview that guy. But he came on the scene when this guy Potter was doing it, and he pushed Potter and started breaking Potter's records, and he's in the documentary. It is wild. This guy walks a tightrope between 2 mountains with no safety whatsoever. It is insane, you guys. So just a little shout out for that. And also on Netflix, I don't mean to laugh, but this guy was so off the rails. It's sad and it's crazy, but it's amazing he's still alive. The basketball player Lamar Odom, there's a documentary on him. You remember that whole story? Guy was at the top of the world, one of the best players, playing for the Lakers, making hundreds of millions of dollars, married a Kardashian. And then he comes here to Vegas, goes to a brothel outside of Vegas, because brothels actually aren't legal actually in Vegas. They are in Nevada, but not in the actual city of Vegas. And loses his mind and goes on a bender, banging all these prostitutes, doing a ton of coke, some sort of like bootleg Viagra. They find him comatose an hour outside of Vegas in this like seedy brothel. And his whole story, it's crazy. So if either of those interest you, I recommend both as a documentary freak that I am. All right, let's get back to your calls. Joe in Virginia is next up. What's going on, Joe?
Hey, Eddie. Good afternoon.
Hey, Joe. Welcome. What's happening?
Oh, not much. Just sitting around, enjoying the day. Hey, I want to touch on the Dave Lee Ross stuff you were talking about earlier.
All right.
I saw the videos that you're talking about, and I know that you can't say what you think because it'd be Eddie Trunk said this, blah blah blah. But,
I can say what I think.
yeah.
I just don't understand what's going on. I mean, clearly it's not good. I don't have a problem saying that. I'm not trying to hedge anything. I just think, like I was saying, there's a difference between, what John Bon Jovi went through and Tom Kiefer or Steven Tyler or all these guys, or Paul Stanley or some of these guys went through. There was something wrong with their voice. To me, I don't really think there's something wrong with Dave's voice. I just think he's trying to do the songs in a different sort of way or something. It doesn't, because it's not like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm not a singer, but it ain't good.
I don't know what's going on either. And I'm a Dave guy. I love the air with Dave in it. But
who doesn't? Everybody does. Everybody wants it to be good. It's just something's. It's bad.
The band is great. The backup singers are great.
Sure.
But Dave is just. I've heard you say many times before, if you can't perform or you can't do it anymore, hang it up. And I think Dave's at that point that he should just hang it up and bask in his glory from his past.
Well, look, he's certainly, what was interesting, one of the Instagram post I saw over the weekend of him trying to sing Beautiful Girls was one of the people who liked it was Sammy Hagar. Now, I don't know. Yeah, and I don't know if that was Sammy kind of like tongue-in-cheek, Sammy trying to be supportive. I don't know what, when Sammy was on with us last, he said that David actually said something for the first time like ever complimentary about Sammy, and I don't know. I don't know if, I don't know why. I don't know what, if Sammy was just being nice. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think Sammy can be too nice sometimes, but I know that, like during the live shows that they did in Japan, the vocals were horrible, and Sammy was like, if I would have sang like, that I'm paraphrasing, but they would have crucified me. The brothers would have crucified me if I sang like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the fans, obviously, Joe, if you saw the comments that I saw under it, it was universally like, what the fuck? It was brutal. But
exactly. And I don't read a lot of the comments, but I was like, this is horrible. And the comments were horrible. And then, when Rush they did their thing in Canada last month or whatever, I read the comments. I'm like, Russ has nothing to worry about. They are looking good. But, they're talking about Geddy's voice. It's like Geddy's voice has not changed since the last time we saw him with Neil.
Well, we don't have enough, and thank you, Joe, for the call. We don't have enough of a sample size yet on Rush. We can't, Rush did one song with this new configuration of the band, and it was a song from the very first album over 50 years ago. So we really don't know. Geddy, that, with Rush coming back, that's the part about Rush. There's so much focus on the drummer, understandably. But the part about Rush that nobody is talking about is here we are 10 years later, with those vocals that Geddy did on those records, extraordinarily high. How is he going to do? Like, nobody's talking about that because we don't know yet. Now, I had told you guys that when I saw Rush, on R40, the last tour, I saw the show in Denver. That was the best I had heard Geddy sing in about 20 years. And I talked to him about it after the show backstage. And he told me he worked at it and he made dietary changes that helped him and all these things. But we're 10 years later down the line. I don't know. We don't know. We don't have that answer yet. I'm not going to make a decision or judge off of one song on an award show or whatever that show was. But going back to Roth, I can't tell you what's going on there, but the bottom line is this. With all of the, first of all, I'll say two things. And some may disagree with me on this, but no matter how bad some of these people may be out there on the road singing, if they're actually doing it live, warts and all, as they say, I'll take that any day over a fake track or an AI program on the microphone. Any day. Because at least there's purity to it. But I do agree with Joe, who I think the caller's name was, that, yeah, you got to leave. You can't stay too long at the party. If you're keeping it real, nothing but respect. But if you're destroying your legacy by how far you've fallen and your deficiencies, then just go do something else. Like, all these people have other interests usually. They paint, they write, whatever they do. The guy from Faith No More grew pumpkins. He did. It's like the biggest pumpkin grower in the world or something. There's all other things. Like I say all the time, I wish Lawrence Taylor was still the linebacker for the Giants. I wish Mike Piazza was still catching for the Mets and hitting home runs. But they're doing other things. With LT, some of the things aren't so good. Some of the things he did after retiring, lucky to still be alive. But you know what I'm saying? But yeah, but look, if you're keeping it real, and that ties in with our AI conversation a little while ago. Because again, some of these guys, you're going to suddenly go out there and see, and you're like, wow, they actually sound a lot better. Wow, they've actually improved. Wow, they figured it out. Hate to tell you, I know for a fact they are using electronics, recordings, whatever you want to call it, AI programs, technology, and you are not hearing a real vocal. And there are some fans that have said to me, with certain singers, good. Please give me the tape. Which, again, I do not agree with, but I understand the sentiment. Here's Zach in Wisconsin. What's going on, Zach? Hey, Zach, you there?
Yes, hello.
Hey, Zach, you're on the air.
Hello. How's it going?
Hey, Zach, go ahead.
I just want to talk about some recent shows that I was at over the weekend.
Sure.
Yeah, I just saw, I don't know if you're familiar, you probably are, Kenny Wayne Shepherd Band.
Of course. Great blues rock guitar player, sure, of course.
Yeah, I just saw him in Milwaukee, and he went on for about 2 hours. He did his debut album, and I've seen him probably a dozen times, and he just killed it with his band, all live, nothing phoned in. He sounded amazing.
Yeah, I saw him play last a few years ago here in Vegas. He played the Jim Irsay event when Jim was doing those live shows and showing his collectibles, obviously since Jim has passed away. But I did see Kenny Wayne Shepherd play at that, and I saw him very early on in his career. I think I also saw him do Experience Hendrix. Tremendous talent.
Yeah, and then I think he just had Cheap Trick out on his last couple shows. I could be wrong on that.
I don't know, but that wouldn't surprise me because Cheap Trick can play and does play with anyone and everyone in terms of a special guest act.
And then last thing, so yesterday, David Byrne of Talking Heads, if you know who that is, he was playing my local area, and I wanted to go, and it was sold out. And resale tickets were like $300, which is kind of insane.
So you didn't go?
But no, I didn't go. I'm not going to spend $300 to see him.
Is he doing all Talking Heads music? Do you know what he's doing?
Half and half. Half and half.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
Burning down the house. Yeah.
Yeah, I know he's been out there doing shows. Thank you, Zach, for those reports. I admittedly am not a Talking Heads fan at all. It was just a band that I never, ever was into, and music's just kind of too quirky for me, not something, never a band that I had any real, just, nothing personal, of course, just as a fan. Just wasn't my thing. JC in New York, go ahead, buddy.
Hey, Ed. How you doing, brother?
Good.
I'm trying to think. Did we just turn into a TMZ moment back there? We're bringing everything and anything up about A&I and all that other crap, and no rock and roll, brother. That was rough.
Why does TMZ talk about AI?
Yeah, no, it's just you went off on a tangent. Actually, AI might overtake the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame if we get going down that rabbit hole. You got two things to really bitch about. That'll be good.
I'm not bitching. I'm not bitching. I'm not bitching at all about AI. I'm just pondering about it and its impact on music. I mean, the impact on music is enormous when you think about it. I mean, look at what the caller said. He was listening to what he thought were presented as new Van Halen songs, which they had nothing to do with. This is going to have massive implications for music and entertainment. Massive.
But
it's already happening.
We let it. I mean, we have to let it happen. I mean, I'll never delve into it. It's not worth your time. But if you put it on the pedestal, it will get likes, and you just can't. You got to be resilient to what it is that you really love, and we hope it comes and we hope it goes. Anyway, I had a couple things. I went and saw a band called Burning Witches not too long ago. Holy shit! Kicked my ass. I didn't know who they were. I just took a ride and said, I'm going to go check these females out, and they laid it on the ground. I swear, if you were to put all five of them together, they probably didn't even weigh as much as a human being, man, because they were just tiny little girls belting it out. They were just ferocious, I'll be honest.
Well, they're European. It's a European band, but there is an American in that band. Courtney, who was in the Iron Maidens, is in that band now.
She's back out. She's out. Because I asked the manager.
Out?
I said, Courtney Coxon? No, he says, no, she's back to the Iron Maidens. And that's the new girl was there. That's the way I thought he explained it. Because I didn't really understand. I didn't know who they are or anything. I just wanted to go in open-minded, and it was impressive.
Wow, because Courtney,
I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
Because Courtney moved to Europe to actually be with them and closer to them, because she's American. But I didn't know. I did not hear.
Have Joel look that up before we go, because I think she's gone. I think she went back to the Maidens or something, and I think they had another girl instead. But they were anyway. Regardless, they were really awesome. A band that would say that we were the discussion last week was who underrated. A band called Tangier. Do you ever hear that?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, man, I thought they were they had two great albums out, and they kicked some serious ass. And you can ponder on that. And the last thing, I'm a big NASCAR dude, and I was watching NASCAR, and old Tom Araya from Slayer comes out, gentlemen! He was in total metal mode. Start your engines. That was pretty cool. So, fun weekend. But yeah.
Yeah. All right,
All the
JC.
best, bro.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. I did see that online that Tom did that at one of the races, so that's cool. The band that JC mentions, a band called Tangier. Yeah, they never quite made it. They were on Atlantic, a subsidiary of Atlantic Records. I think there was some loose connection to Cinderella. They toured early on with Cinderella. They were out of the same area of Cinderella. They started in like South Jersey, Philly market. I used to know the drummer, a guy named Bobby Bender, years and years and years ago. And they were more of a bluesy hard rock thing. But yeah, totally remember them, had the record. I'm sure at some point I even interviewed them back then. JC calling on our underrated that kind of we got into a little bit last week, which again is all good. Here is Mike joining us from Philadelphia today. What's going on, Mike?
Hi, how are you?
Good, Mike. Thanks.
Good. I just wanted to touch on the subject you were opening with AI and music. I'm a software developer, and so I am working with AI kind of on a daily basis. And there's some stats that I think would be interesting for your audience when it comes to music. So currently, there's based on Deezer, which is a streaming service, they're getting on average 75,000 AI tracks uploaded a day.
How many?
In early 75,000 a day. In 2025, the average towards the end of the year was about 10,000 a day. We're now up to 75,000 a day.
Yeah, which is why when JC says just ignore it or whatever, you can't.
You can't ignore it.
No.
60% of musicians are using AI tools in some capacity. 97% of people cannot reliably tell AI versus human music. When it comes to rock versus pop, which I thought you might be interested in, pop, 22 to 28% is AI. Rock currently is 8 to 10%. So, yeah, I mean, just the sheer number last year to this year should be alarming. And that guy who called in and said, just don't worry about it. He may not even be aware that he's listening to AI at some point, because it is actually happening with rock as well. It's just not as much as pop. But
and let me ask you this, Mike, being somebody that is clearly on this and kind of in your field here, when these songs that are being uploaded, is it required that it's disclosed that it's AI generated?
It depends on the platform. If people really want to steer clear of it and want to support a streaming platform, I would definitely recommend using Bandcamp over like Spotify or Deezer or one of these, because Bandcamp won't allow it. And also with Bandcamp, all the money is going to the artist versus like pennies that go to the artist on something like Spotify. Now, Bandcamp is more geared towards like independent artists, not the huge labels. But if you're someone that's like, that's into, supporting smaller bands and things like that, use Bandcamp first. So with my job, I'm not dealing with music, but I'm having to deal with AI on a daily basis because we're integrating it into our software processes, which is really scary for me because potentially my job will be replaced just like many people's. But when it comes to music, I thought those stats would be interesting.
Yeah, no, they really are. And I appreciate you calling in, Mike. And it's kind of to my point. Thank you, man. It's to my point about you can't put your head in the sand about it. You can't. I mean, I had the story about Warner, I think it was, gave an AI music creator $1 million deal. And you're like, well, who's actually getting the money? Well, in that case, the person that was programming the AI model to create the music was doing it off of like some poetry or something she had written. And and she had acquired the following. So like her social media following had hit a number where anything she pumped out using the AI was followed by these and enough of an audience that they wanted to put the human behind the AI programming under a contract. It's crazy. I mean, it's a whole nother thing, and it's happening by the hour, by the day, more and more and more. I mean, it's unfortunate, and I truly hope this doesn't happen, but the implications for it for radio are enormous. You already know what's happening in Hollywood with movies where their actors and the unions are trying to put some guardrails up on this because they're worried about it taking acting jobs and what have you. But in radio, look, music-based radio has been decimated in terms of available jobs on air in the last 20, 25 years. I've talked about this many, many, many times. There was a time when I started in radio, and for many years, where every radio station, no matter what the format, was staffed by a human being 24/7. The station could not be on the air without a human being on the air, talking between songs, playing the next songs, whatever. That's all been gone for over 20, 25 years. You know, the vast majority of music-based radio is pre-recorded on any platform. Never used to be like that. Used to be you had to have a human being there. That's when I started in the 80s. That's how it was, right? And in terrestrial/regular radio, it certainly had to be the case. But that ended long before AI because of computers and what's known as voice tracking in the industry. So small and medium market music-based radio stations across the country, they may not have one human being working there anymore. If anything, maybe a live morning show. The rest of it are pre-recorded tracks that could have come from anywhere, and they just pipe them in and drop them in between the songs. So to you listening, Jimmy Stevens is on the air every day on my radio station. I listen to him playing all this great music. That guy first of all, he might not even exist, or he might be in a completely different state. That's happened a long time ago. Young people come up to me all the time. Hey, how do I get started in radio? It used to be, well, you go to whatever small market, you work on the overnights, you work your way up. Overnights don't exist anymore. Sure, if you turn a radio station on overnight, there's something on, music and whatever. You may even hear what you think is a DJ that's there at that time, but it's not. It's not at all. So those jobs are gone, have been gone. My point about it is with AI, that's a really dangerous thing. Now, the only safe haven, and thank God I do a talk show now, could be talk, because if you think about it, it might get to the point, but if this was AI radio you were listening to right now, it's truly the one thing that AI I don't think could recreate unless they tapped into my brain, because you're getting me, you're getting my thoughts, you're getting my opinions, and I'm getting it back from you and responding to it. Now, I'm sure if this was an AI hosting this show right now, it's going to get to the point where if somebody calls in and says, hey, I want to talk about why, so this is Love on Fair Warning, the volume dips when it first starts. There might be a beat, and then the AI might answer, well, whatever. I don't know, but are you going to want to hear that? I don't know. My point is, in broadcasting, the saving grace might be talk radio, whatever kind of talk radio it may be, because that's the type of thing I don't think a computer could replace. But the music stuff, 70% of it went away with just basic computers, let alone now what's going to happen with it with AI. And I don't like saying that because, you know, I have a lot of friends that are in this in the business of radio and do music radio. But it's taken huge hits and bigger ones coming. Here's Steve in Indianapolis. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Eddie. So first thing, this isn't what I called about, but during one of your breaks, I listened to that AI Van Halen song, and that was terrible. It's like if you didn't know that was supposed to be Van Halen, I wouldn't even know that was Van Halen.
Where did you find it, Steve? What did you find it on?
I just put it in Google and it popped up, but it was on
What's
YouTube,
it called?
I think. Sorry, I don't remember. I don't have it pulled up.
Joel,
right
see if you can find it. Maybe Steve, you can go ahead with your other point. But if Joel can find it, maybe we can hear 30 seconds of it to hear, so we all know what the people are talking about.
Okay. Yeah, my other thing I did call about though was I finally got around to watching that Led Zeppelin documentary this weekend, and man, I really wish I'd have seen that at IMAX because it was awesome. But that made me call in because I got to say, John Paul Jones has to be the most underrated bass player ever.
Yeah, well, arranger, bass player, keyboard player. I mean, really kind of like an unsung hero in Zeppelin, if there really is such a thing.
Oh, yeah, he was unbelievable. Just the way, you know, how he fit it all in between Bonzo and Page is just incredible.
Yeah, so the only problem I had, Steve, with the Zeppelin documentary becoming Led Zeppelin, which I've seen a couple times and I talked about when it was first released, my only grievance with that documentary is that it ended.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, like how can they not keep it going? Like I said, it has to be a 3-parter, doesn't it?
Well, it's got to be at least a second part because it's just when they're taking off and becoming huge, Zeppelin 2, and then it ends. And you're like, no. So I really, really hope, I've not heard anything about this, but I really hope they shot some stuff to do another hour or two to just tell the story from that. But I've not heard anything about that, but that really killed me because I wanted it to go further.
Yeah. So I did find it's called Win or Lose, Van Halen AI based on Unchained is the one I listened to anyway.
All right. Joel just told me he found
Win or
something.
Lose.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Joel, is that what you found?
Yeah, that's what I've got here. I can play a quick 30 seconds of it if you want.
Yeah, let's hear this.
Well, walk through that door. It's a big struggle, trying to stay in the game. Now I'm rolling high, got a brand new name. 'Cause it's not whether you win or lose, it's all about the style you choose. I used to have a problem that I couldn't shake, but now I've got enough to make my own breaks.
Oh, wait, there's the guitar part. All right, that does not sound like Eddie Van Halen playing guitar there. The Roth was spot on. Now, do you see? Here's where I give credit to Roth. So if Roth wanted to do a fake lead vocal, for as bad as you might think that is, do you hear what AI did as a recreation of his voice? You could conceivably... Do you see what I'm talking about when I say you're getting a lot of trickery out there already for quote-unquote live shows? You could conceivably have AI. That was an AI David Lee Roth. That sounded good and just like Dave, right? That's the Dave you want to hear. You could have an AI make the vocal for an entire concert, and program it so that when Roth went up to the mic, you don't hear his real voice, you hear that. Folks, that is happening. Not with Dave. Dave's clearly live. For better or worse, he's live. But that is happening as we speak with quote-unquote live shows you are paying your money for, and you don't know it. I know it for a fact with major, major artists in multiple genres of music. That's a problem. As far as the song, whatever. It's not something... It sounds like could have been a Van Halen demo, but as long as it's marked AI, what are you going to do? It's... man, this is a whole rabbit hole. God knows what we'll get into going forward. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I'm headed over to Hair Nation for a few hours. Back live with you guys tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, for Trunk Nation on Faction Talk. Have a good Monday.
I do have a beef with Shakira because one time her hips lied to me.
What?
Yeah, they did.
No, baby, when you're talking like that.
That's pretty good.
Been waiting all my life for that moment.
You're always free to do an impression. Chris does a couple.
Guy there thought thing. Now try to do this.
Now,
California. My breast is morning.
The Bennington Show, weekdays at noon East and anytime on the SiriusXM app.
Hey everybody, this is Sebastian Maniscalco. Come to Sebastian Maniscalco's Comedy Radio to hear the Sebastian Maniscalco Show, as well as comedians who inspired me, up-and-coming talent, and the introduction of DJ Marinara playing my favorite dance tunes I grew up to. My exclusive 24/7 comedy channel is up and running. Channel 99 and on the SiriusXM app.
If watching TV has gotten way too complicated for you, then here's some good news. You can say goodbye to a million different subscriptions, wasting money and endless searching for something to watch. And say hello to Philo, a better way to TV. Philo's the only streaming service that keeps you in mind, making TV easy and affordable without sacrificing quality or the channels you love. With Philo, there's a package that's right for you. Whether you're looking for the best live TV on more than 70 channels, with a huge library of movies and shows, and an unlimited DVR, or you're looking to upgrade your experience with Philo's bundle, unlocking access to even more blockbuster films on top-rated shows on HBO Max Basic with ads, AMC Plus, and Discovery Plus. Whatever you choose, with Philo, you're getting great TV for an even better price. Find out more at philo.tv. That's PHILO.tv. Subscriptions auto-renew. Cancel anytime. See philo.tv for more.
Looking for a little extra fun? Chumba Casino lets you play for free with daily login rewards and a cheeky little welcome bonus when you sign up. Explore hundreds of online social casino games and jump in whenever it works for you. No routines, no pressure, just entertainment on your terms. That's Chumba. Only available in permitted states. No purchase necessary. See terms and conditions for details. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21+.